Thanks everyone for joining us. Steve and I today are going to talk to you about how we can help you keep your employer brand alive. Thanks for joining us. For those that haven't come across Creed before or don't know much about us, so our mission statement, if you like, everything we do is based on the fact that we believe talented and inspired people make everything possible. We'd consider ourselves a full service agency. By that we mean we do everything in-house, from research, client service, marketing, and creative, all under one roof. We do it for a wide range of clients. We don't specialise in any one given sector, but what we do specialise in is talent attraction and employer brand, and we've been successful in doing that. So hopefully today you get some learnings that you can take them forwards into your roles and benefit yourself.
Just do some introductions. So thanks everyone for joining. My name's Steve, client partner here at Creed. Been in the industry now for 19 years, been at Creed for 2.5 years. And today I'm going to talk to you about one of the clients that I work with, my dentist, how we developed their employer brand and how we're still working with them to make sure that it's still relevant and embedded and resonates with their audience.
Thanks, Steve. I'm Danny Gartside, also a client partner at Creed, so similar roles and responsibilities to Steve. Been in the industry now approaching 12 years. We don't have to wear the same shirt. Hopefully that picture on screen sort of demonstrates that we don't have a Creed uniform. But our jobs as client partners really is to make sure that our clients are pushing ahead, pushing forwards with their strategic objectives, making sure the team here at Creed are delivering for those clients on those objectives as well. But trying to, it's always difficult for any role as well, but to make sure that the busy people on this call have the opportunity to take a step back and think about how we can help you with the bigger picture challenges as well as the day-to-day as well.
Thanks, Danny. It's going to start off with probably quite an obvious statement, but an important one is that your employer brand faces serious competition to get noticed by the best quality talent. Those of you on the call who have met me and Danny before know that we like a good pub quiz, so we thought we'd just put in a few little questions in here. No prizes, but if you can maybe just put what you think in the chat. So let's have a look at the scale of the challenge to get your employer brand out there. So first question: how many ads do you think that people see in the UK on a daily basis? So if anyone wants to have any guesses, put it in the chat. That'd be great. I'll give you maybe 30 seconds to do that. Two exactly the same. Look at that.
I can't see the answer, Steve. Who's closest?
So at the moment, I would say it looks like Grant is the winner so far. It's a massive 6,000 adverts that people see on a daily basis, which is absolutely crazy. Next question: what percentage of those 6,000 adverts are viewed for more than 1 second? So again, if you can pop your answers in the chat and see what you think. Yeah, a few low numbers, a few high numbers in there, real difference. So this one, if we skip through to the answer, 9%. So of those 6,000 ads that people see on a daily basis, over 90% of them are scrolled past, skipped, turned off in less than a second. So most of those adverts out there aren't getting seen. And then last question, because this is a webinar and not a pub quiz, but the last one: how many times must someone see an advert on average before it sticks with them? So again, if you can just put your answers in the chat, that would be great. Yeah, all quite similar on here, all kind of, yeah, between 5 and 10 really. The answer looks like Holly and Ian are correct on there. 7 times they reckon that an average person needs to see an advert before it actually sticks with them. So what this tells us is that we need to ensure that your employer brand is memorable, it cuts through the noise, and it also reaches your audience multiple times in order for it to resonate with them. So that's the end of the quiz section of the webinar, and then I'll pass you over to Danny.
Thanks. So they're I guess the branding challenges that all organisations face. But as Steve said, it shows the competition. But of course, at the moment, sort of the current economy and environment that we work in, there are of course market challenges as well, and these are certainly global and local challenges. There is a deep uncertainness, I think it's fair to say. I'm sure you've all experienced this, both with employers almost unsure of what lies ahead. It's very difficult to plan at the moment with things like Trump's tariffs on and off changes all the time. It's really hard for employers to make strategic long-term decisions. We've also seen a trend at Creed where employees are quite often losing confidence as well. They don't know where they stand. They don't know sort of the shifting landscape. What is likely to happen. So as I said, we have things like Trump's tariff war back in sort of 2025, Q1, Q2. Labour obviously changing government, changing national insurance as well, so difficult for organisations to plan as well. And the big one, I'm sure if you go on any webinar in the sector at any time at the moment, AI is clearly the thing that's on the top of people's agendas. And I think what we've seen a trend in, and what has been interesting with AI, particularly with the large language models and agentic AI, is a shift now in recent months. And I think this has been nicely is the wrong word, but quite direct from Salesforce's CEO, Mark Benioff, quite openly coming out saying that AI is going to replace jobs. He's not said there that it's going to support our employees or it's going to streamline the operation. It's quite direct, has come up with saying that changes are happening and AI is going to take people's jobs. So clearly that loses confidence for candidates and current employees as well. But with all that going on, I think it's fair to say that your employer reputation will change and develop whether you're actively managing or not. And with this uncertainty that I've touched on, the nervousness sort of in candidate populations at the moment, it's never been more important to hire the right people, but particularly it's never been more important to keep hold of good people as well, with the costs of attraction going up and uncertainty in the market. And I think it's fair to say budgets, we look at sort of the last year or so and maybe the year ahead, never been more scrutinised. You've never been asked as talent attraction and employer brand teams to do more with less as well. So the purpose of today is all about taking back control. When Steve and I were building this presentation, we reflected on our values here at Creed, and we settled on life's complicated enough as what we'll build this presentation around. We know a bit of self-reflection. Marketing agencies can sometimes have a reputation for being jazz hands, marketing theory, full of smoke. You may have heard of loads of marketing theories in the past, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the 4Ps, etc., etc. But today is not about frameworks or theory. It's about taking back control with smart strategic moves that you can use and hopefully sort of take learnings from to provide value in the real world and give you ROI. Creed, we certainly are not about, and I think the market as well as a whole, but Creed have always lived by this point of we're not trying to use employer branding just for pretty pictures and nice words. It's about how does it contribute tangible impact to your business, and how do you as employees sort of operating in the sector, how do you demonstrate the value that you're offering to your business to give real world positives to the operation.
Well, thanks, Danny. So what we're going to do is actually talk through 4 bite-sized case studies across 3 clients. Hopefully this will resonate with some of your challenges and provide ideas for some tangible even solutions. So what we're going to talk through is how we developed and implemented a creative testing solution for Lidl, as well as also improving and celebrating their internal mobility. How we developed my dentist employer brand and how we continue to embed it and bring it to life. And then finally, how we've helped Northern solve a long-standing solution.
So this we'll follow the same format to make it hopefully as palatable as possible for everyone on the call. We'll go through the challenge, the approach, the results, and next step for each case study. So I know some of our colleagues at Lidl have joined the webinar today, so thanks very much, guys. But quick overview, I'm sure you've heard of Lidl in the UK, major retailer, one of the fastest growing retailers as well. But they're actually part of the wider Schwarz Group, and Lidl International have their headquarters in Germany. And it was the international brand, if you like, that launched the initial more to value campaign that you may have started to see if you're doing your weekly shop. There's a lot of marketing activity aimed at consumers as well. So the more to value message is very much front and center of both GB marketing and international marketing's agenda at the moment, and understandably so. So this meant we had to have a consistent look and feel across all countries for all customers. I think it's fair to say there was probably less initial thought had been put into the employer brand element and the different nuances of each location. So that brought challenges, certainly. There were a lot of different opinions and interpretations, multiple stakeholders. And EB and TA had been somewhat a bit of an afterthought, and they needed a credible interim solution in when they were stepping into, I'd say, sort of unknown territory as well. So how did we navigate those risky and unknown waters? So we proposed a creative testing solution to let the data speak for itself, as the EB team had felt slightly under threat and a bit under pressure from international forces, if you like. So we structured a survey to measure what we call sort of passionate responses. I'll go into a bit more detail about those as well. And we also used some eye tracking technology to understand what content was important and what maybe was slightly superfluous as well. So as Steve touched on earlier, when the average person is seeing 6,000 marketing messages a day, you certainly can't waste time or space with your audience as well. So what we did, we used what we call IRT questions, implicit reaction time, and also heat map and eye tracking technology. So I won't go too much into details, but the IRT questions are very much about not just asking someone what they think about something, it measures how quickly they respond to that scenario. So the quicker the response, the more passionate, the more someone cares about it as well. So we can take a higher level of value from a fast and passionate response than someone that's maybe a bit unsure, a bit sits on the fence and I've got to answer this, so I'll give an answer. So really important that when we're trying to capture people's attention, we know what it is that actually fires them up and gets them going in a short space of time. Then the heat mapping technology, really useful, really innovative AI-driven product that allows us to actually view where our candidates are looking at content and also what order they digest the content in. So how does their eye follow down the page? This resulted in really clear, decisive data. It allowed us to slightly restructure the creative to make sure it was answering what the candidates actually wanted. And it clearly allowed Lidl to define what their propositions needed to be when we had a short space of time as well. So it reaffirmed a lot of things that Lidl knew. It wasn't a complete rewrite by any means, but it gave them a bit more confidence. And it gave them a data-led solution to go back to stakeholders and develop an interim creative solution. So Lidl have taken this process and embedded it into further creative projects. There's less debate, less personal opinion or loudest voice in the room. And also it's been great to see that senior leadership are now trusting the process as well. So we are currently in the space where we've tested their new employer brand that will be going to market in the coming months. So certainly keep an eye out for that. But what's really good from the guys at Lidl, what they've done is they've also made a commitment to test every 6 months or so their creative. Market trends change. You know, we looked about the market challenges earlier in this presentation. The world is always changing, of course, but Lidl are prepped and ready to adapt to that. And it's not going to be wholesale changes, but they're just going to continue to monitor how their creative's performing to look to continually optimize it. I should have said actually earlier, and we've got time for Q&A at the end of the session as well. So look forward to any questions on these case studies.
Well, thanks, Danny. So on to quite a different employer now, My Dentist. So might not be as known to everybody as Lidl is, but they are one of the largest dental providers in the UK. And post-COVID, the dental sector really faced significant challenges, big NHS backlog, clinical burnout, fewer graduates entering the profession. And while My Dentist offer incredible facilities, unparalleled training, mentorship, clear progression opportunities, many in the dental industry just simply didn't know what they could offer. And in a market where providers look and sound the same, they knew it was going to time to really do things differently to remain attractive and prospective to current employees and to potential employees as well. So ultimately, My Dentist's aim was to be the best place to work and practice in UK dentistry. So what they did is they partnered with us to define and develop their employer brand, or as they call it internally, their people experience. So Creed worked with My Dentist to do a thorough discovery stage where we spoke to over 600 dental professionals, be that dentists, nurses. We also spoke to receptionists via focus groups, surveys and interviews. And the result of this was Your Future, My Dentist. We then brought this to life via photography, video, on their careers site, social media, and across a myriad of media channels for them as well. So that's all well and good, but was it effective? Did it work? And in a word, yes, it did. As you can see, when the teams finally loads up them there, that all the metrics we were looking at measuring on here were positive. Glassdoor rating, click-through rate, site sessions, applications, all up. Cost per application down. In one of the hardest months of the year, August, the numbers that we got through for them were unbelievable, unprecedented from what we'd done before, leading to a very happy client, great numbers across the board, so complete success. But ultimately, something like an employer brand is an ever-evolving. It's something we can't just rest on the laurels and we can't just leave it as it is, so we're constantly moving. So the next steps with My Dentist is that we're actually sending out CVs. We're sending out surveys to dentists at the moment. So one recently went out about 2 months ago to dentists in the UK to actually track brand sentiment and trends to see how it compared to when we did the original employer brand to now. We're also working with My Dentist to develop and launch an effective employer referral program. So actually, they're really good people can then reach out to their networks and get more of them. We're also working on My Dentist SEO and large language model strategy as well to ensure that we see an employer choice by these channels. We're targeting dentists in countries across the world where people have the right qualifications, visas and strong English skills to make sure post-Brexit we are getting the right people into this country who can be great dentists for My Dentist. And we're also reaching audiences across the funnel as well to make sure that we're building awareness at the top of the funnel as well as driving applications at the bottom of the funnel.
Thanks, Steve. So the final case study we wanted to talk about today was a piece of work we've completed, but also continuing to do for Northern Rail. So those not based in the North, Northern Rail are the government-owned and backed, but franchise that run rail across the whole of the north of England. So their challenge was they had a really stark workforce gender split. They wanted to attract more females into the role. They needed to do this by, one, increasing awareness and attraction activities, but also helping with retention as well. They had the target to raise frontline female employees by 5% in the next 18 months. And they also wanted to celebrate the women of Northern in order to do this. There's no logical reason. It's just why women can't be drivers, engineers or conductors. It's just not societal norm. So we needed to cut through and break some stereotypes to do this. And to do that, well, sometimes you just need a good creative idea that's going to capture people's attention and make the message stick. As Steve said, you need to see it 7 times, but the more effective and more powerful your creative is, the more likely it is to do. So we developed the "We're not Northern without her." In this approach, we had clearly defined objectives. We used some light touch research to craft a campaign that brings Northern's grit and humour to the fore. The campaign then puts them front and centre, both metaphorically and literally. It celebrates their contribution, it breaks outdated stereotypes, and it really reinforces the sense of belonging. We spoke to, well, everyone that we spoke to in the research phase really talked about it being the Northern family. So if everyone has each other's back, everyone works hard. It doesn't matter who you are or what your background is, but everyone is really keen to contribute. Especially those front customer facing roles, they realise how important their role is to everyone's day-to-day life. And it highlighted that Northern isn't just a workplace for women, it's their place, somewhere where they grow, lead and make a difference. And this is all about making sure that women feel seen and valued and really understand the USP of the career that is on offer. So this campaign has been live since just before Christmas, and we're really proud of the results. Female applications, just like these look. Click-through rate across all their social channels increased. Even the likes of Glassdoor EBA ads, it's outperformed their baseline metrics by about 4-fold. So really happy with that. Female applications increased by 32% in December compared to November, despite lower application numbers overall. And applications for December 25 was 32% higher year on year as well. And this has led to female hires have increased from 27 to 32% year on year. But great thing about this campaign, well, despite its sort of initial success, is that next steps, they're going to jump straight into phase 2. And we can see internally the success of the campaign, because when I was working with Gina, who's the employer brand manager at Northern, when we were trying to recruit volunteers to be part of this campaign, I'm going to be honest, it was quite tough. We had to sort of keep sending comms out to get people to commit. And then we've done sort of the second run call, if you like, 6 months later, and we've been almost inundated with people that want to be part of the campaign. So it's brilliant to see from an internal point of view. But more so, and what's really sort of led this, is the full backing of Tricia, the managing director of Northern. We're going to continue with an out-of-home campaign that will feature at every rail station, sort of the local, even rural ones across the north of England. So watch this space. We're sort of going to continue to build on the success of this, but hopefully you take the learnings of investing just a little bit with your creative and with a message that cuts through can really help across a huge variety and breadth and width of metrics that you're targeted on and challenges that you have. So there are 4 bite-sized case studies. Thanks everyone for the time. If you want me to flip back to anything, I certainly can do, but welcome any questions, and me and Steve are more than happy to field those now.
Yeah, either shout out or put it in the chat, whatever's easiest. No questions?
We'll give it a moment, but if anyone does have any comments, wants to follow up with Steve and I, please feel free to either email us if you have our address or reach out on LinkedIn. More than happy to pick up this conversation. But I'd just like to thank everyone for joining this morning.
Well, thanks a lot, guys. I think we do have a question from Grace. When creating an EB for a global business, how did you find getting the balance with localizing it for the different regions to ensure the message resonates? So I presume that's a little one.
Yes, great question, Grace. Thank you. We always say it's always about finding the golden thread. What are the points that binds the organisation together? Be you one country in one side of the world in a different department to one on the other. There will be some commonalities as well, and the overarching employer brand should look to understand what those themes are and what can we say consistently across the business. Certainly, though, there are local nuances. So we need to find what those are, and we need to be able to have a message framework, maybe some persona work that can tap into different audiences at different times as well. I think with the rise of AI and how that's becoming increasingly more common in everyone's day-to-day life, we're expecting more and more personalized content as well. But you go on ChatGPT and it's basically it's a response specifically for you and your question. And that is really bedding into what we just expect as internet users, really, at the moment. Everything's incredibly bespoke. So we're seeing a shift to more and more regional and personalized content, but an employer brand should always have that overarching thread that unites the business. And you can have company-wide announcements, global campaigns with that, but clearly local nuance as well. So does that answer your question?
Well, thanks, Grace.
Thank you.
Any other questions at all? No, I think that's it. Well, thank you very much. And you've got 15 minutes back of the day.